My F28 beef with a brother-in-law, M32, is ruining my marriage. What are your thoughts? Am I overreacting? My brother-in-law is demanding that I remove my Facebook post where he is indirectly mentioned. Sorry, I am very nervous now and I might mistype, not be able to formulate sentences properly. It's going to be long. Since I met my now husband's brother 2 years ago, my life and mental state changed for the worse. He always came out of his way to insult me, my country, culture, and family, even without knowing anything about any of these. It just looked like he enjoyed looking superior, rich, and important among losers, as he referred to everyone around me. Some things that he has told me. You and my brother will end this very badly cause you are not rich and you can't travel freely. This was a stupid idea. I am Georgian and my husband is from one of the EU countries. There are rich and successful people here, but because you surround us with the poor, we spend too much time with losers. Oh, your mother married when she was 41? So she was an outdated woman and had only leftover men? You guys are passport hunters. And ugly. I'd never date in Georgia. You have no friends. Looks like you arrived yesterday in this city. You are not like X-person who's very respectable and everyone knows her, and tons of other things. At the same time, he created prejudice about me in my husband's home country, with his family members and friends. When we got married, my parents bought a golden ring for my husband according to our traditions, and in my special beautiful times he comes out and says, "It's so stupid of them." It must have cost them the entire year's income. It greatly affected our relationship with my partner. Having these encounters always led to me reacting in a way that was used against me, and he easily labeled me as emotional and someone who always finds beef. A few months ago he started a relationship with a Russian woman in Georgia who was married and immediately left her husband after she met him. I met her 3 times and none of these meetings were nice. In Georgia, due to our ongoing Russian occupation, we are very skeptical about those who come to Georgia. Given the fact that she left Russia due to sanctions plus met a man and left her partner immediately for him, plus her liking a person like him didn't look like a great combo, but when I met her, I realized that my intuition was right. She was very cold to me, almost rude, but I didn't care. But our last meeting was when I realized that I never wanted them in my life, ever. My husband and I got married in June, and a week after I got invited to my brother-in-law's party in my city. Out of politeness, I agreed. She was there too. Firstly, I never got congratulated on my marriage, which is highly rude of her. Even strangers raised glasses for us on that evening and she was looking at me with a disgusted face. She rudely interrupted me many times, opposed me about everything, and defended her boyfriend while he was saying cringe stuff like, "People like me should have kids cause I am incredibly clever and rich." Now they are getting married in Georgia while she lives in Serbia because she feels better with Slavic brothers, somehow always finds content to mock our traditions and religious gatherings and so on. Typical colonialist mentality. And I posted on my Facebook, which I use mostly for posing about social political stuff. In that post, I talk about how my mother almost died in a bunker during the Russian occupation 30 years ago, what she went through, and so on. In the end, I mention how ironic life is sometimes that the citizens of our enemy country get to use our services. I know someone from a certain EU country who is marrying a Russian woman in Georgia and, sadly, we give Russian citizens this uncontrollable access to the West. She stalked me and translated and read my long Georgian text. And she is going nuts, and so is he. It is a complicated situation because now I live with my husband, in his parents' empty house in that EU country, and the bill is visiting. And he is demanding that I remove that poster. He will show this to his parents, because it is disrespectful and it's an attack on an innocent person like his fiancée. And I am not removing it. I even feel disrespected by being asked to. I think he deserves to taste the it that he was feeding me with for so long. But what do you think? Am I overreacting? I am alone here, without friends. Even my husband is not on my side in this. Thank you all in advance. Even my husband is not on my side in this. You don't have a brother-in-law problem, you have a husband problem. It's your husband's job to set boundaries with his family and put them in their place if they disrespect you. His brother would not be a problem if your husband told him to fuck off when he insults you. Instead, he's calling you emotional and inviting this virulent bigot into your home? How can your husband say you're starting beef when it's his brother who's going out of his way to be nasty to you? Does he act like he loves and respects you? Because I can tell you that if someone were treating my partner this way, they'd be out of my life immediately. Why did you get married if your partner has never defended you or even been on your side in private? Remember that you don't have to be friends with people on FB. And you can lock down your account so only people you are friends with can see it. Unfriend them both. Lock down your account. And I agree with the comments that you have a husband problem if he doesn't support you and speak up to his brother's abusive treatment of you. You have every right to voice your opinion on a platform. You didn't use his name and you don't have to remove it. Don't go toe-to-toe with your bully-in-law. Instead, every time he brings up anything, put him on the defensive by sticking to facts or walking away whenever he goes to talk. You do not have to give him an ear to be cruel and rude. Also, have your husband stand up for you. Your bill wouldn't be on this level of obnoxious if he wasn't given free rein by your husband to treat you this way, so you have your husband address it to bring this to a stop. Forget Bill. You have a husband problem. While you are sorting it out, make some friends. Join clubs that you genuinely enjoy and do volunteer work. Never let a man cut you out of your own world. As for those two invader assholes who party in your hometown while mocking your traditions, cut them off. Your husband should have protected you, he didn't. It's time for you to do it yourself. And tell your husband to grow up as a married man. You two should not live in someone else's house. In addition, I have never seen siblings so hateful towards each other. Everything is being used against me and my husband by his brother and sometimes sister. Whether we are doing well or not, they always attack. And he is as good at defending himself as a piece of paper. I cannot deal with this. He sets everyone against me, in my presence or in my back. After reading strangers' insights, after talking to my mother, sister, friends and thinking to myself, I have concluded that the only relationship I can have with this kind of individuals is not having one at all. Distance, dead end, silence, cutting off, not giving myself to this trap is the love I need the most right now. You are not overreacting at all. Not only is this abusive behavior, but it is further entrenching generational trauma within your family. Is it reasonable for me, 26 female, to ask my boyfriend, 30 male, to decide if he ever wants to get married? For some context, we have been together for over 3 years and he recently hit me with, I don't know if I ever want to get married. This was not how previously conversations had gone, and I'm feeling a bit blindsided. I wasn't holding my breath or expecting an engagement to happen right away, but I always had assumed we were moving in that direction based on previous conversations. I'm not looking to give him an ultimatum, and I don't want him to wake up 15 years down the line with kids and a wife he doesn't want. Is it fair of me to tell him that marriage and kids are something I want, and that I may have to walk away from this relationship if that's not where this is going anymore? I'm not looking to be manipulative or to force his hand, but I also have always wanted those things. I'm not looking for anything right away, but I also don't want to sink 3 more years into a relationship that is as far as it will ever go. Is it unreasonable for me to ask him to make up his mind about what he wants from this relationship? He recently hit me with, I don't know if I ever want to get married. He's already given you his answer. No, he doesn't want to get married. Time to move on. After 3 years, at 30 years old, and, I don't know if I ever want to get married, means I don't want to get married. He has already made up his mind. That being said, it is reasonable for you to not want to spend another 3 years in a relationship where you don't have the same goals. Break up amicably. You are just not compatible in terms of what you each want in the future. 3 years is long enough. Don't wait. Oh, in my honest opinion, I wouldn't waste too much time, especially if marriage is something you were looking forward to in the future. He is around the age most people would be when they are looking to settle down, get serious and get married. It would absolutely break my heart to hear my boyfriend of almost 3 years now saying that. Whatever you do decide, make sure it's on your terms and you're happy with the outcome. Yes, you should tell him that's what you want. That way he knows for sure and you two can have conversations with everything out in the open about whether or not you're compatible. Also, being willing to end a relationship because you want to get married and have kids isn't an unfair ultimatum. You have a right to want what you want for your life. If your partner doesn't share those same fundamental life goals, then you should break up rather than put yourselves on an inevitable path to dissatisfaction and resentment towards each other because you didn't want to have an ultimatum. Just tell him you've thought a lot about it, and you were under the impression that you both were on the same page about marriage, and if it's not something he wants in the future, then you two aren't compatible and that ending it as amicably as possible would be the next step. If he tries to backpedal immediately, then it could easily have been an attempt at manipulating you, so he gets to keep you without making that commitment. But either way, I wouldn't waste more time with someone who doesn't enthusiastically want the same things out of life. I gave my husband an ultimatum, and we are happily married now. We are in our late 30s and he has 2 young kids. I'm not saying an ultimatum will work, but it will set the boundary of what you want for your life. In my case, at my age, I refused to be daddy's girlfriend for the rest of my life. He said he never wanted to get married again, and at approximately 2.5 years I told him well I did. And I had a time limit in my head of when I would see this out until. Now, I had a personal time limit of 5 years total dating no ring, marriage said, I was jumping ship. He didn't know my time limit, and at 3 years together we were engaged, married 9 months later. You know what you want. Good luck. The guy, M28, I, F30, I'm dating bites me every time he kisses me. How to address this? So I just started making out with this guy the first started dating couple months ago and he keeps biting my lips while kissing, sometime it even hurts. I asked him not to do it but he insists that it's the way to kiss and you gotta do it. He also went for my boobs but I was pushing his hand away and he pushed harder and went for it anyways and started licking my boobs. I mean I gave in at that moment and it felt good but I was just not ready for it at that point. I am just worried about what kind of a person he is because sometimes when we cuddle he applies force with his arm around me and restrains me when I try to move, saying if I like it too much when you are next to me, I am comfortable, I don't want you to go away from me, etc. Sometimes I feel like I can't stand him touching me and others I crave it and want him. I am confused if I should keep trying to enjoy my time with him or just break it off. Huge red flag that he insisted to do something anyway after you told him not to. Giant blaring red flag that when you signaled to him you didn't like something, he pushed and did it anyway. This guy has made it super clear he does not value your comfort, enjoyment, or consent. If he's already doing these shitty things right at the bat, there's only downhill from here. Run. Personally, I'd address it by staying away from him. You asked him not to bite you and he did it anyway and insisted it's the right way. You pushed his hands away from your boobs and he tried harder. That's sexual assault, babe. Restraining you while you cuddle? What the hell? This guy is bad news, and you feeling like you can't stand him touching you is your body trying to tell you that he's not safe to be around. Break it off. You do not enjoy it and he has no idea what he is doing. The fact that he forces and restrains you is a huge red flag. I asked him not to but he insists. At that point he is no longer allowed to kiss you. Or touch you. You decide how your body is to be touched. He's plowing through all of your boundaries. Giving in is not giving consent. It's being coerced. He's forcing you. Lose this man's number and block him from your life. No. You told him no. He did it anyway and continues to do it. Break up and find someone who respects you, girl. Why are you continuing to date someone who intentionally violates your intimate boundaries? My 25F boyfriend 25M made himself chicken soup when I was sick and I am vegetarian? This might be the final straw for me. We've lived together for 1 year and together for 5. So yesterday I was extremely sick and he wasn't doing anything that day. He made himself chicken soup and I asked if he made anything for me and he said no, walked to his desk and played video games all day. Didn't ask me at all if I was feeling okay, if I needed anything, nothing. It might seem stupid but it's a buildup of every little thing that's happened between us lately. My problem is that I've been looking for a job and don't have enough money to move out into my own apartment. I also just don't know how to go about this since we live together. I know a breakup is going to be difficult. Also, I love him so much and besides things like this he's been mostly great. I know he loves me a lot and I don't know if I am making the right decision. However, I feel like he has been emotionally abusive in the past, although I don't know if that's me being dramatic and needy or if it's real abuse. Other than this he's been great and I can see a future with him. He is going to have a good job and I know he will be a good dad. But I don't want to lose myself in the process. Having kids and marrying isn't a goal for me unless it's with the right guy, otherwise I would be happy single. Sorry that this post is all over the place. There is a lot on my mind and I don't know what to do. I know he loves me a lot. No he doesn't even like you. Why would you want a future with someone that doesn't take care of you? There are some things that require a conversation to set expectations and address needs, but this isn't one of them. You're sick. He's being awful. Do you know he loves you a lot, or just wished he loved you a lot so you've decided he does? Those actions don't sound like he loves you a lot. You think he'll be a good dad when he doesn't even take care of you when you're sick, and he's been emotionally abusive? No. Get a job, find a flat, move out, move on. Love is a verb. If you love somebody, you show your love for them through actions of care. There is zero point in continuing a relationship with someone who doesn't give a fuck about you when you get unwell. Life throws so many obstacles. What happens if one day you got seriously ill or needed hospital or surgery or something? I know he will be a good dad. What will he do if his children get sick? Play video games? And if you get sick when you have children to care for? Sorry, he'd make a terrible father if he can't care for anyone when they're unwell. He clearly doesn't love you a lot if he can't even be bothered to check on his sick girlfriend and was so selfish he couldn't have been bothered to make you something to eat, let alone even offer. That is absolutely not love at all. That is pure selfishness and nothing more. He will probably be far worse when pregnant and after birth. Expecting you to do everything yourself well he gets to be fun and play video games. You are still very young. Move on and enjoy your life.